You've got audio, Sheila. Great. Good, good, good. All right. So we are vertical instead of horizontal. I hope no one minds. There's 14 of us. That looks good. Great. So let's just get started. I think I can see all your comments here. And hopefully I can keep up with them if anyone has questions. All right. So here are our two piglets. Let's get started. Does everybody have, hello, Sue. Oh, it's good that you're here. Thank you for coming. And Gail, that's great. Yay. The technology is finally working. All right, so I've got all my little bits here organized. And I thought we would just kind of look at these two first to go over some of the differences and the similarities. So these guys have exactly the same body. It's just that I've made them in two different colors. And this guy has a shortened nose, which you probably saw on the pattern. And I did, let's see if we can see that clearly. Can I focus on it? How does this work anyway? No, I guess not really. So his nose is finished with the fabulous Glossy Accents Clear Dimensional Medium. And for that little guy, I used the shortest dashed line here. I gave you two lengths for the nose. You can use whichever one you want. I went with the shorter one for this guy. And so it's exactly the same head pattern. The only thing that's different are the ears, the shortened nose, and I added a tail for this guy. And to get the face to have this slightly kind of scrunchy thing, after I stuffed it, I just sort of did this kind of thing and gave him a kind of squishy, piggier nose. Let's see. All right. Okay. So, let's see, I've got the cord in my way here, so forgive me. All right, so let's get started with the pieces. The head assembly is really similar to what we've done on most of our animals recently. So it has a top head dart, but these guys, they can watch us right here. So it has one top head dart, and I've got these pieces cut out, and I have a little thread marking here for the eye placement. You might have noticed on one of the pattern pieces, the eye places. I have to correct that on the pattern, but the one on the left side, right next to the cut, this is the right one right here. So this one I don't know if you can see this, but I put the two together so that I could mark the eye placement, and I just poked a hole like that through both layers. So then you can see it better on the back side. I have a little spot to stitch through and add my eye placement. I have some thread organized for us in the right color. And let's just start with the head, since we were just talking about that. I'm gonna set some of these other pieces aside that I've got prepared for us. And we'll start with the head. Oh, I think that I've got to keep this out of the way of the comments, right? Yay, thank you. I'm glad you think it's crazy cute. So let's start with the darts. Now, you guys have probably watched other videos, but since this is so long, I'm just going to kind of go through the process here, and we'll see what we can get done. I feel like the heads are one of the things that people like to do together because of the stuffing and just all the things that give it its character sort of happen through the head. So we'll start there. Okay, so I'm using a single strand of thread, and when I do the darts, I like to start just through the surface of the fabric and just a little bit below where the cut is, so that I can kind of ease my way into making the dart. And the other thing is that I like to do, whenever I'm starting a seam line, I like to do 2 or 3 stitches on top of each other, because that just secures the starting and the ending of my stitch so that nothing kind of pulls away once we stuff it, because that can put some pressure on those seams. So I'm doing my sort of 1/16 of an inch depth and roughly 1/16 of an inch spacing. And with each stitch, I sort of use the two pads of my fingers. Oh, Sherry, great. I'm glad you found us. Good. Sherry just came on and is now in our new stream. So I go at about a 1/16 of an inch spacing and about a 1/16 of an inch depth. And I'm sort of I've gotten to the place where I can tell where my fingers need to be to give me that perfect stitch. And that's just one of those things that takes a little bit of time to get used to. So a little bit of time and practice. So they're kind of like launching pads that I go across. Making sure that I'm going in the same depth on both sides so that I have a strong seam. And then with each stitch, I give it a little tug that kind of sucks that. Hello, I found you, Tina. Oh, great. Welcome, welcome. So with each stitch, I give it a little tug right at the base of the stitch to pull that thread right down and kind of make a little divot in the edge there. And that's going to give us a nice strong seam. Okay, and so at the end of the seam here, again, I'm going to do like 3 little stitches on top of each other to secure it. And then I'm going to set back my knot by sliding my needle just under the surface of the felt so it doesn't show on the other side, but just so that I can get it away from that edge. Because when I'm doing the top head seam here, if I have a knot there, I'm not sure why, but I catch it almost every time. So I started moving my knots away from that seam when I knew they would get in my way later. And I just wanted to show you, I know everybody's seen this probably a bunch of times, but if we have anyone new here that hasn't watched too many videos, I'll show you how I do my ending knot. I do this weird thing, and I'll show you 2 ways, where my left hand, I take the thread like this, and then I cross it. I put all my fingers through the loop. Then I grab the needle with my index and my thumb, and I take the loop with the 3 fingers on my right hand. Then I want to hold and pinch the end, the end of the needle so that I don't lose my thread. And then I open these, I pull, separate like this, and then I open these 3 fingers and it brings that crossing right down to the surface. So another way to do that, because that's slightly awkward until you've practiced a bit, is to just do this kind of situation. Oopsie, it's not as graceful. Okay. Let's see if I can do it more gracefully. My thread is really kind of twisted. Hold on a sec. All right, there we go. I wet the thread. So, so we're doing this, and then you can open up like that and bring your crossing down. But the idea is that if that knot is really close to the surface, then it's not going to give you it's not going to loosen up on you. All right. Ooh, scissors dropped on the floor. Oop. Oh boy. Yeah. This orientation, the cord is like right in front of me, so I'm probably going to bonk it a bunch of times. All righty. So now maybe somebody can, a couple of you guys could comment and let me know, does everybody have their parts? Should we really be sewing together, or should I just kind of power through this so you know what you're doing and you can watch it later? I'm not really sure how everybody's set up here, but okay, so orienting my heads here so I can show you what's going on. So we are going to do the other side head, and to make sure. Here it is, that's right. Okay, so the noses are matching, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm making a left and a right. And we'll do the other one. Oh, Larissa, you have the parts. Awesome. That's great. All right. So since we just did that other dart, I'm just going to kind of fly through this one, and hopefully people who have their parts ready can follow along. Okay. And then we are right at the end of our seam line, and I will set back my knot. There we go. Okay. We need a new piece of thread here. And now we can do the center seam on the head. All right. So thank you, Sue. All right, I'm just gonna keep plugging away here, and we'll see what we can get done together. All right. So I wanted to show you on this head seam. I did both of these slightly differently. So you probably remember from a lot of our animals, we've been going from under the chin, around the nose, and we go just beyond that top head dart and leave a little bit of the back of the head open to make turning a little bit easier. So it looks like on this one, I switched it up and I did all my stitching on the head, the back of the head, the nose, and this much of under the chin I did on the inside, and then I left this little bit open instead of this little bit. So this one has some stitches that are more visible here, and this one has some stitches that are more visible here. So you can really do it either way, but I'm just going to do this the way that we usually do it to keep it consistent, but it looks like I switched it up there. All right, so I'm going to start from under the chin, and I've got my darts facing on the outside because we're turning the head. And just so you can see, my eyes go all the way through, so my eye markings are on both sides. And same thing, more whip stitch, single strand. On this new stream, I don't know if I have the commenting limited. I was thinking as I was setting it up, I saw that they had an option for making it so people couldn't comment more than one time in 60 seconds. I thought it might just help my brain. So it seems like maybe that's actually still set up. I'm not sure. But if you're trying to comment and you're having trouble commenting, or it's not, doesn't seem to be posting, that might be why. Okay. So I've got the jacket all cut out. I didn't have time to do the directions, do the steps for that yet, but I have all our parts, and hopefully we can get that assembled today as well. See how quickly we can move along here without leaving anyone in the dust. So I'm coming around the nose, and I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen, but sometimes, and this you're probably going to notice more on the legs and the arms, but sometimes when you're stitching, one side will stretch a little more and you need to just nip off the tiniest bit of one edge. If you have to nip off a lot, you might get into trouble, but sometimes just nipping off a tiny bit, if something has shifted slightly, will get you back on track. And I'm stitching with, I break my skeins up into 8 equal lengths, and then I use half of one of those lengths. So it's like a single strand that is a 1/16 of the length of a skein. And it ends up being around, I mean, I guess it's half a meter. So whatever that is in inches. Sometimes it seems a little short, but it's just when you're making that nice strong pull, every time you make a stitch, the thread definitely weakens, and using shorter strands saves you from breakage as much as possible. It also helps with tangling, because you can see as you start stitching how it starts to do that. You can also drop your thread and just let it spin out to get those little twists out as you go. And then up here at the dart, sometimes it can be a little tough to get through there because we've done those multiple stitches on top of each other. If you have trouble, you can use pliers to get through that one stitch going beyond the darts there. It's also not a bad idea to give yourself a couple stitches on top of each other in this direction, right where that dart is, because that's really a weak spot where you've got 4 corners coming together. And then we'll just make a couple stitches beyond here. And then knot off and turn the head. Okay, so I'm not going to set back the knot here because it's not going to get in my way again from where we are. So now we are going to turn the head. And I like to get my little needle nose pliers right up there. This head is smaller than your average from what we usually make. Oops. I'm kind of manhandling this one a little bit, but when I'm not trying to explain what I'm doing, I'm maybe a little more gentle. Okay. And just poke out the end of that nose. Okay. I'm just pushing out those seams with my pliers. And just put my stuffing fork in there to really get out that nose. Okay, so we've got this head almost all the way. We'll just finish up the back here of that neck. And then I wanted to show you this one. This is the one with the cut-off nose. So I just stitched from under the chin up to the cut, and then I stopped and started again on the opposite side and finished here, and then did the back of the head with a whip stitch. So I'm going to show you a different stitch on here too for the back of the head. So everybody knows the whip stitch at this point. And I have done a couple of illustrations on some of my newer patterns on the baseball stitch. So that's kind of a fun one for closing things up, to make them look a little bit more like our inside stitches here, our inside whip stitches. But so to do a baseball stitch, I'm coming from the underside here on the left, and then I'm going to go over to the right-hand side and grab the edge. And then I'll go to the left-hand side and grab the edge. So this is almost exactly like lacing your sneakers. But instead of doing a left and a right side, you're just doing one side that lashes back and forth, grabbing the edge. And this stitch is a little more invisible than your whip stitch. It lays flat rather than having a raised, sort of a raised surface like the whip stitch does. Okay, and I'm going to do a couple whip stitches right on top of each other to secure the end of that seam line, and then knot off. Since this knot is on the outside, I will tuck my needle through the hole behind the knot and just pop it through the surface. So now that knot is invisible there. So I think maybe what we should do is get that head stuffed right now, and then we can move on to arms and legs. So I've got some of my stuffing, and I'm just going to use little pieces to get started here. I'm going to stuff both of these heads so that we can go over both styles at the same time. So while everybody's getting organized and stuffing whichever head they're working on, I will do both. And also, by the way, if anybody's interested in one of the stuffing forks, I do have I have a new batch of handles ready, and I haven't assembled them all yet. But if you guys are interested, if anybody does want one, maybe let me know in an Etsy convo, and then I can make a batch for whoever wants them and get anybody taken care of who's looking for one of these guys. So I'm working on the nose first, and then it's not completely full, but I'm gonna start on kind of fill up the back, and then we can go in and do that scissor channel thing and fill it out a little bit more. So, let's see. I'm getting there on filling it. So once you get kind of a core of your fiber in there, you can go in between the inner stuffing and the wall, or the sort of the sheath, the skin here, and use your, ooh, I'm totally off camera, and use your little tool and kind of shimmy it in between those, and that'll help fill it out. Sometimes if it feels like you've done all the stuffing you can, but the head still looks sort of two-dimensional, this will help you bring the head out and give it more of a three-dimensional look. Our scissor channel technique also works for that. I don't know if you guys, probably quite a few of you have needle felting needles, and those are really handy too. We've been using those on the bear for kind of creating like a concave area to sit on top of the body, and we'll want to do that again here. if you don't have one, you can get away without it. You just have to sort of press the head down onto the body as you're sewing it on. This little guy's head doesn't have a lot of depth back here, so I'm just going to pull out the needle felting needle so that we can kind of see how that works. So if you haven't used one of these before, the needle felting needles have little barbs on them that are sort of a much larger version of what the wool fiber looks like. And so they manually tangle the fibers and connect them together. As you're doing this, be careful you don't go through the top surface of the head. Don't go too deep, because the white will start to push through and you'll see white fuzziness coming out of the top of his head. Got to stay on camera when the camera is vertical like this. It's harder to keep myself in the right spot. So that's starting to get nice and three-dimensional. And we'll just do a little bit of this action, the scissor channel. So this color that I'm using in my Etsy shop is just the straight up pink. And I thought I would show you guys. I think there are a lot of different pinks that would work great for this guy. So this is the color I'm using now. That one's pink. This is one of the colors that we've used for the doll bodies. I think it's called, maybe, oh no, this one's Cameo Pink, I think. Oh, you know what? I can't even remember the names of these. I'll have to get that to you later. Okay, so this is pink. Then this one's a little bit more of the doll color. This one's sort of a heathered, peachy color. And these two are two 100% wool felt ones that I got from Benzie Design. So they're just two different shades of pink that they carry. And those are really nice too. That's what I made this guy out of, because I just wanted to try a different pink and I wanted to try it in the 100% wool. So this guy's the 100% wool, and this is the wool and rayon blend. All right, so I think this is pretty good on the head. I feel like, well, maybe I'm gonna get a little more in there. I'm not satisfied yet. I think I'm not quite there. How's everybody doing? Is anybody sewing? Is this our how are we doing on our heads? Yes, doing well on the head. Great, Louise, thank you. Starting to stuff. Larissa, awesome. Good. Well, then I'll start working on the other head, so we're kind of staying together on the project. All right. So this is this one with the hole in the nose. I don't know if everybody had a chance to do the striped body or not. But if you didn't today, don't worry about it. We'll just I've got the parts to do that, and there's that video that you can follow later if you want to on making the stripes. Oh, Gail, which was the great tip? Time. Watching this time, but what a joy. Oh, good. Thank you, Sue. I'm glad you're enjoying it and watching. This is totally new for me. I've only done Zoom before, but I thought this might work well. Why is there a hole in the nose? I started late. Carla. Okay, no problem. So I have two different piglets that I'm doing right now. There's this guy. They're the same body pattern, same arms, same legs. They have different ears, and this guy has his nose nipped so that he has more of a flat snout. And I'm going to show you how to do both of those. So that's why this guy has a hole, because we just assembled this head, and now we're going to assemble this head. Does that make sense, Carla? And if there, I have the painted body ready. Great. Oh, Tina, good job. That's awesome. And I don't know if there's anyone here that is not part of my Patreon. We had a little technical difficulty getting started here. The pattern for this piglet is available to my Patreon members. Oh, that's Nico in the background. So if you want to join my Patreon, you can download the pattern for this piglet, the jacket, and for this little daisy. And here is the little jacket that also fits the piglet. So you'll see more of that in a little bit. The stuffing parts with the scissor. Oh, good. Oh, okay, Gail, that was the new bit. Okay, great. I'm watching while I'm out in the woods camping. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, I hope you have good weather. It's beautiful here. We got over a really crazy hot spell, and it's like, I mean, it's still warm, but it's dry now, which is wonderful. So on this guy with the little hole in the nose, I want to make sure I get my stuffing. I want my stuffing to come right out to the end of that hole. So I'm going to just take my felting needle. Oof, lost my train of thought there. And put a little bit right into the end. You can also sort of push the stuffing through this way so it kind of bubbles out the end, and then needle felt that back in. I think that was what I did on the last one. But this works too. Oh, thank you, Gail. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. Oh, it rained all night. Wet, very wet. Carla, where are you camping? What state are you in? All right. So that looks pretty good. He's got a little bit of like fuzzle coming out still. But if you can't get that back in, all you need to do is just give it a little trim. And then what we're trying to create here is a flat surface. We're gonna actually glue on the snout. So I just wanna make sure my stuffing and the cut edge of the felt is basically at the same level. All right, so I'm gonna still add a little bit more to the back of the head here. So on this version, I kind of want him to be a little chubbier in the head. So I'm going to overstuff his head a little bit more than I did the other one. And another thing that you can do on this, because we don't have to make a hole, like in a lot of our other animals, we end up cutting up into the head to make a hole for the wire. And sometimes that can get in the way of stitching on the eyes. But because of the orientation of this head and where the eyes are, and the fact that we don't have to do that, another thing that you can do that's kind of interesting is if you attach the eyes before you attach the head, you can indent those in, and then after the eyes are attached, you can add more fiber under the cheeks to kind of puff out the cheeks without puffing out the top of the head. And sometimes that can give you a little, kind of fun, cheeky dimension here. Oh, in northern Arizona. I've never been to Arizona. Sounds like fun. Okay. Another thing that should be in the directions, boy, I hope so, is that I use two different, what a great tip for cheeky pigs. Thanks, Louise. He's a very cheeky pig. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the eye sizes that I used on these guys makes them look quite different. So the one with the striped belly has the 3 millimeter glass eye, and then this one has the 4 millimeter eye, and I outlined it with the eyeliner. So that makes his eyes. I mean, I'm not sure he's realistic, but this one's certainly not. So it makes him like a little bit more realistic piggy. Come stay with us. It would be a blast. Oh, I would love to. I actually, you guys, I really want to do some more traveling. I'm trying to figure out a way for these meetups to make sense. I'm having, so I had at the Cape this, we're also separated, and I think that's the tricky bit. I had some workshops organized for this coming, not this weekend, but the first weekend of August in Falmouth on Cape Cod. And it was through this place that's the Falmouth Art Center. And I just don't know if they have the right mailing list for people doing this kind of work, but they weren't able to fill up the classes. I mean, the Cape is an expensive place to stay in the summer too, so that could be part of it. But we're so far apart, all of us. We've got people in Australia and the UK. Oh, what is the eyeliner? The eyeliner is, hold on, is these micron pens, and I'm using the 005 size, which is the finest one. So you can see well, that's not in focus. You can see the tip is really, really fine. Let me draw on something here. so you can make super fine lines. And I'll attach the eyes on this and show you how that's done. Anyway, so yeah, I've just been trying to figure out ways to get people together, and also, you know, the workshops are wonderful because I can do all these pre-cut pieces now that I have the die cutting machine, but it takes a long time to organize, and so I've had to, you know, charge like 100 to 120 per person because of the time that it takes to put everything together. But I have a small studio in Queen Valley that you could have classes in. Oh, Carla, that's so cool. Okay. All right. All right. Well, okay. So I'll talk a little more about this. Let me get some eyes and I'll talk about where we can meet and how we can meet and get brainstorm with you guys. See if we can sort some things out to make this work. Okay. So eyes. I'm going to get the 4mm eyes for this guy. I've got my little things here. I think I've got some 4mm in here. There we go. Yeah, so part of this thing with like meeting up is that I feel like I need to start doing some, you know, my hope is to grow Patreon to a point where it can be the primary like source of my income and kind of like doing monthly projects. I have enough people kind of doing this, you know, a part of this, you know, donating small amounts of money so that I can give a lot and no one really has to pay a lot. But I have to figure out how to get the word out and how to grow it. But what I want to do is this for you guys as much as possible. So figuring out a way to meet and gather that works so that we can grow. We have a large rec hall that you could use as well. Oh, Carla, that's so cool. Who wants to go to Arizona? um, anyway, you know, if I do meetups that are less organized and are really low cost, that encourage people to come and learn about what we're doing, then hopefully I can start growing the group. And I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing where I'm creating these sort of expensive classes that make it hard for people to participate. And what I need to do is do a much lower cost thing, or like a free thing that people can come to. You can fly into Phoenix. All right. Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. So if I do something like that, I can have a much larger group. I don't have to have as much planned for it. I can just teach people techniques, and they can visit and talk and see all the different things that we do together and work on a project. I can bring patterns and people can bring their own felt or something like that, some way of doing it so it's somewhat affordable for them and for me. And gradually we just grow the group so that I can do more and more for you guys. So anyway, I don't know. That's just my idea. That's my thought, because this is all I really want to do. Okay, it's where all the winter visitors come because the winter's beautiful. Oh, that sounds good. All right. All right, eyes. Let's do some eyes. I've got my handy dandy skewer. You can use an awl, whatever you want to use. And then we've got our little eyes marked here. So let me get a pin. So I'm just going to kind of pull this back, the knot back, and find my hole and make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And now my knot pulls right out because I made that hole bigger. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. that knot out. Okay, so now I can see where my eye holes are going to be. And make a bigger opening. If on this one here with the 3mm eyes, you have to be pretty careful about the size hole you make, because you can those beads are just like 1 millimeter smaller, but they don't have the lip like these guys. I mean, if you've used the eyes from my shop before, you know that this variety has like a flat on the back, and then the glass ones are like a teardrop shape with a hole at the smaller part of the teardrop, and those ones can slip through the head a little bit more. Okay, so these guys, their heads are so small that you can do the eyes with a regular needle. If you prefer the long darner, then you can use that. I always lock the knot in the center of the head first, and then I go back to the first side so that my knot is really secure in there when before I add the first eye. And then string my first eye and bring that up to the head. I'm not going to go too tight on it because I want to go back and forth through the head, catching the shaft on the back of the eye a couple of times before I finish up. So we sort of peel back the eye so that you don't catch the thread. If when you're going back and forth through the head, you catch the previous layers of thread or passes of thread, it'll make it so the eyes don't want to pull in. So pulling back the eye like that is helpful. And it also tightens the thread. Like as you're going through the eye itself, you want to also try not to catch that thread. Okay. Sue says, I suggested our country library that they add your book to their collection, and they were very happy to approve it. That may be the way we can all help. Oh, thank you. That's so nice. You know, I thought about doing some events at libraries, just like what I was talking about, to get new people. And that might be a fun thing to do is have local libraries that I visit get the book, and then do some like sort of, you know, free or supply cost events at libraries. Okay. So that's a great idea. Thank you, Sue. So I'm going to indent these guys a little bit on this one. And then I'm going to bring out those cheeks, and we're going to squish the head. So I think I did 3 passes, which is what I usually do. And I've got the eyes indented a little bit. And then I'm going to knot off and then tuck that knot behind the eye and come out and cut off. Oops, that got messy. All right, so, oh, I didn't do a very good job there. See, I don't know if you can see my knots are not close to each other. Oh, well. All right, now we've got a third one that's giant. And I'm gonna sneak my needle behind the lip of the eye and just come out anywhere. And then that'll tuck behind the eye. Gail, great idea about the book added to the library. A lot of tempting patterns in The Wind in the Willows to get out there. I know. Thank you. All right, so let's try the cheeky bit I was talking about and see what that looks like. All right, so we're gonna add a little bit more fiber. Where did I put it? Here it is. And see if we can puff out those cheeks a little. So I'm gonna go, first I'm gonna try and go with my stuffing fork right between here and add stuffing to this area. Let's see what happens. Cheeky. See how that's a little piggier? We'll do it to the other side too and see what happens. See if we can make it symmetrical. Doot, doot. That's kind of cute. I don't know if it's as easy to see on camera as it is in real life here. This is one of those moments where you kind of want it to be a little bit lumpy. All right, and then his nose is poofing out. All right. And his neck is poofing out. Manage the stuffing. Okay. All right, so we can add, okay, let's see. Sheila, my library has your book. It is what led me to buy your book and join Patreon. Oh, that's so cool. Yay, libraries. Cool. All right, so now, we're gonna do this kind of like squishy squish of the head from front to back afterwards, but let's glue on the nose right now. So I did this thing on this guy where I colored the nose with something. Hold on, where is it? So I have this box of these Derwent pastel pencils. You could use regular, pastels. You could use like a matte eyeshadow or blush probably. Or you could use a slightly different shade of pink to glue onto the nose to get a different color. But I'm just gonna do exactly what I did on this guy to make a duplicate. But like I said, with a whole bunch of different shades of pink, you could just shift the shade at the end of the nose to change that color. But let's use the same as what I did. And I've got a scrap here. So all I'm gonna do with this, well, we're gonna first see if my glue will come out this hole. So this, I don't know if you guys have this glue, but I'm a huge fan of Aleene's products. I don't get paid by them or anything, but actually, funny story, a friend of mine who's also, he makes things, we used to work together, wrote me years ago from California, and she was like, guess who I just met at the library? And I was like, who? She was like, Aleene. She's like Aleene of Aleene's Tacky Glue. Apparently, Aleene, who I think since has passed away, loved to get new entrepreneurs started, and she was doing talks at local libraries. Anyway, huge fan of these glues. So the fast grab one is like, it's kind of like the Greek yogurt of glue, right? So it's like got a lot less water in it. And so it just grabs faster and dries faster. So, okay, let me get a little scrappy-doo. So this is just a little bit of my chipboard. This is what, if you've bought felt from me, this is usually what we layer behind the felt, but it's just a thin chipboard. It's a little heavier than a cereal box, but it's what I use for making my folding cards and all that jazz. Okay, so to do the nose here, I'm just slathering it right on. Try not to get it on anything but the end of the nose. And then we're just gonna slap on a big chunk like this, and we'll trim around it afterwards. Now, I could have given you guys like a perfect little oval to cut out or something, but it's actually kind of tricky to cut out tiny little small ovals. And I've noticed that people have struggled with that in my classes. So if you just give them a giant old thing like that, and then you can take your iron, let me give it a minute to heat up. But you can just take your iron. Is it hot yet? Let's see. Not quite. Give it a minute to sizzle. And then you can just dry it really quick by pressing the nose right up against the iron. I think we're almost there. Yeah, all right. And this works great. We're gonna glue on the ears as well. And this works great for that, just drying things quickly. Rachel, I found your patterns through your book, which I bought from Cool Crafting and Kendall. Oh, that's so cool. I love that shop. I was hoping to get back there again this fall, but I decided to stay close to home with the election to make sure that I could be as helpful in that department as possible. Although I try not to talk politics on here, so no one needs to comment on that. I just want to be close to home in November. Okay. All right, so just kind of going around and nipping off the extra. And now he's got his little nose. Okay, I hit him with the iron one more time, make sure we're dry. Oh, can anybody see that? Here we go. Do, 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 do. All right. Okay, so that's our little nose, and I think I'm gonna wait to do the squishy face until after we do the glossy accents business on the end. So Louise, good for you. I'm so happy Kamala Harris and all the positive reaction she brings. Yes, well, okay, so thank you, Louise. I'm not going to talk anymore about politics because this is a politics-free zone. I don't want, everybody has their own things, so we'll keep that to ourselves for the moment. Okay. All right. So I think there's a tiny bit more I could nip there. Oh, Louise, don't worry about it. I'm just the diplomat in me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a whirl. This isn't how I did it before, but I just had this little thought that might work. So my these things, I think the pastels and these pencils are a little bit harder than soft pastels. So I was thinking, I wonder if I just did this like on a little piece of something or other here on my cardboard. And then I took the nose, before I drew it on, I kind of like dusted it on. But I'm gonna try this instead. I could also just kind of rub the nose in there. That might work too. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, that works. So put a little on and then dab it. Anyway, depending on how pink you want it to be. I might get the edges a little bit too. All right, that seems pinky enough. All right, and then I'm gonna draw two little nostrils on there. I think I'm gonna use, I can't remember what I did. If I used black, I don't think I used black. I'm gonna use the Sepia 005 to make the nostrils. But I think you could use black too. You could probably just also make two little indentations. Here, let's try that. Let's make two little indentations so we know where they're going. Yeah, that doesn't work very well. Skip it. Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna iron that down again. Okay, let's just draw on. I felt like that's what I did last time, but you know, it's kind of hard to remember. Okay, two of those. And then I'm going to do the clear stuff. What did I do with my cap? Here it is. And then we're going to do a little glossy accents. I don't have one on here right now, but a lot of times I put those micro tip things so the glue doesn't dry in the tip of the glossy accents bottle. Let's see if it's totally dry. Yep. Okay. We just have to pick it out with a pin to get it going again. But those, if you use those little micro tips that I used for that permanent glue stuff, let's see if we've got, oh, there we go. Got some air. All right. Okay. We are in gear now. Okay. So I'm going to do a thin layer and just kind of dab it and let it sink into the surface. I think I did something weird to his little nostril hole there. There we go, that's better. So we'll let that dry for a few minutes while we put in the eyes on the other head. And then we can do a second and maybe third layer that will give it the shiny kind of look that we've got on this guy. And also, I don't know if you can see that, but the holes in this, I pushed them in when the glossy accents was partially dry so that they look three-dimensional, the holes. So we'll do that too. All right, so let's do the eyes on this one. Those are the, oh, hold on. Those are the 3mm glass. And, oh, I just got glue and paint all over the bottom of my container. Oops. Hold on. Okay. There we go. All right, so put these ones in. So these guys are all, you know, little droplets and somewhat, you know, handmade to whatever extent these kinds of things are handmade. And they're not always the same size. So for instance, you'll be able to see, I think, the difference between these two. I don't know if you, can you see the difference? Oh, well, maybe not. Maybe it's too subtle for the camera, but I like to match them up. So I try to go through and look at a couple together on a needle to make sure I have two that look like they're the same or very close. So same thing here. We need a new thread. And we need 2 of these. I don't know if I said this before, but always with the eyes, I do 2 threads because you're pulling and you have less chance of somebody getting your thread breaking. Oops, are those the same length? No, that's all right. Okay. And we do the little eyes. How are we doing? Okay, it's 1:27. We started at noon. How's everybody doing? I don't know. When I was doing Zoom classes during COVID, you know, they were running like 3 hours, and some people were just like, "It's too long. I can't do it." So maybe I can get some feedback from you guys on how long you want to stay, and if you want me to kind of keep going at regular pace, or if you want me to kind of walk through the whole process with the samples that I have and give everybody an overview. Not quite sure. All right, so I made slightly smaller holes this time. And do the same thing. Go back and forth before we put an eye on. And okay, I am watching more than I do at the moment, but this is perfect. I like to see you walk through the whole process. Okay, thanks, Louise. And anyone else have comments on that department? I don't know if I might have that 60-second delay, so I apologize for that if you're having a hard time commenting in real time. This is definitely a learning process for me. Okay, grab the back. I think I caught my thread this time, so we'll see what happens when I try to pull the eyes in. Okay, I like watching you walk through the process. I'm too watching more than doing at the moment. Okay, so then, okay. All right, well, I'll, now I'm like, what did they mean by that? Did they mean they want to see me go through it at regular pace? Or that they want me to just kind of walk them through it with the samples that I used? Oh boy. Oh well. If you guys have want to clarify that for me, that would be great, because I can speed this up so that everybody's not here all afternoon. All right, so that's this little guy's eyes. Did I not? Okay, I'm happy to have this visit with you and other viewers. Enjoy the company and watching the process. Okay, regular pace is great. Brilliant. Okay, regular pace it is. Okay, did anyone see me not? I'm just gonna assume that I did. Let's see, hopefully. I'm sure his eyes won't fall out right away anyhow. Okay, dirt. Let's see. Boy, he's got a cute, his face came out. I think his face is cuter than the original. I'm not sure why. Okay, where are we? Where are we? Let's see how this guy's nose is doing. So he's not, I mean, he's pretty much dry, not totally, but I'm gonna put another coat on that too, and keep that nose moving along. Oh, this dries so darn fast. Okay, hold on, we gotta pick out the end again. I gotta get one of those micro tip things on here. All right. There we go. Okie dokie. Are we on camera? I think we are. So this time I'm going to do it a little bit thicker. Enjoying it all. Regular pace. Lovely. Thank you. All right. Cool. Cool. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Okay. So I'm kind of trying to go out to the edge a little bit, maybe to make the snout kind of look like it's got sort of a like a full snout, not a skimpy snout. All right. So I'm gonna let this dry part way. Probably won't take too long today. And then part way through, I'll kind of open up those holes and see if it works as well today as it did when I first did it. You never know. Okay. So let's do, okay, so that's the head. We're not gonna do ears until he's all assembled. Let's look at the body pieces to start with here. So here's the one that I did in the video where I didn't use any hairspray. And here's the one that I did before the video. Oh, you can't see that at all. Whoops. Okay. Here's the one I did in the video, and you can see, probably see, that it is a little bit fuzzier. This did not have the hairspray. And then this, I did a fine mist of hairspray and ironed it before I did my stripes. So you can kind of see that this one is more crisp and this one's a little softer. And this was the original. I grabbed a different color when I did this one inadvertently. So for this guy, oh, hi, Rachel. I joined late, but things are working on YouTube. Great. Thanks, Rachel. Welcome. So I used a different color on this one, like a bright chartreuse kind of color, I think, or maybe it's called New Leaf in my color card. Anyhow, I am going to, I feel like since we've done darts on the head, even though we're going real pace, I'm going to use this one to sew the body, and I'll do the, I'll sew the darts on this one. So maybe we can do 2 at a time here. Okay, let's stitch these up real quick. So this little doodad here, I don't know if anybody made the pear Christmas ornament, but Piglet's body, front body, came from the pear ornament. So he's actually pear-shaped. Okay. And that just kind of, this shape gives him a little bit of a belly. So we'll just zippity zip through our whip stitch here. So his head construction, now I have not tried this, but I think you probably could give him a head like we did with the bears. If you wanted to make a head that turned with either the elastic or a really small, tiny bear hardware. I haven't tried it yet, but if anybody does try it, and let me know how it goes. You could also, now I'm just talking off the cuff here because I'm thinking about other ways of doing things and what you guys might want to do. So his head doesn't really, it's just stitched on and there's no wire at all in there. I can still kind of manhandle him and give him, turn his head and give him different expressions. Have him kind of look up more or down more or whatever. But if you wanted to poke a wire partway into the body and up into the head, you might have a little bit more flexibility. But that's something to think about. Okay, there's a gray shaded area on the button of the screen. Wait. Great class, thank you. Thank you, Carla. I don't know if you're headed out, but thank you for that. Louise, gray shaded area on the bottom of the screen. Oh, okay, right, sorry, you're right. I know, this is part of this vertical thing that I'm trying to get used to. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so that was, I don't know if I have control of focus or if I just have to be in the right spot here for this, but all right. So that was this dart that had that little wavy thing is the chest dart, is the front chest of the piglet. And this is the sort of below the waist dart on the front. Oops, gotta knot that. Do you have a video on the elastic head version? I did a little sort of helper video for someone. I talked about it and sort of showed a real simple sample of it in the bear video, in the most recent bear video, the panda. And then someone asked if I could give a little more detail, and I believe that I did a kind of a short segment of explaining how that all went together. So that's a post a little ways back. If you don't find it, Carla, let me know and I will, I can send it to you after. Just send me a message. Can you see it better, Louise, now that I've moved my hand up? It's part of it is just that I'm watching my hand and the screen at the same time, and I sometimes get a little kind of lose track of the screen. this, it's so weird, like, and I'm not sure, I think it's probably because of the YouTube shorts that are filmed vertically, like the Instagram reels. But I couldn't figure out, how to get, I wanted to get my iPad to go horizontally because I felt like it would show more of my area here in better detail. But that was the thing that, kind of screwed me up at the beginning of this, and when I couldn't get it to turn in the right orientation. And I couldn't even get the thing started. Great. Okay, Carla. That's great. Let me know. Okay. Good. I'm glad you can see it, Louise. That's great. I'm gonna get the hang of this. And for all those of you who aren't commenting, I totally get it. I've watched quite a few people live, and I don't have the. I feel like I lose too much information that I want to hear when I comment. So, so if you have any questions afterwards too, if you don't want to comment while I'm working, just shoot me any questions that you have afterwards, and I can answer them then. Okie dokie. So this is another one of those, I think I forgot to do it on that front piece, but this is another one of those places where setting back the knot is handy, because I've got that other seam that they could get buggy on, get in my way on. But I don't think I did it on the other piece. Oops. So next weekend, we've got a couple people coming to the Cape to hang out with me for the weekend. And I'm really excited about that. Louise is coming, and also, now I can't think of her, Jenny is coming. I don't know if she's with us today. I don't think so. And if we have anybody nearby that wants to come for the day, and we have one more overnight space, if anybody is anywhere nearby and wants to join us. It's hard because we're all so far away. I mean, we've got people in Australia and and New Zealand and the UK and Ireland and all over France and the Netherlands. So we have a lot of people in the States as well, but it's a big place. So but maybe I'll get out to some other places if we can figure out how to do this. I would love if you guys have ideas on that, or if you think you're in an area where it would be easy to fill a workshop, or I don't know. I just need to figure out how to get the word out and how to make this so this can actually be the full thing that I do all day. Okay. Right. So we've got the front and the back. And then we're going to turn the body as well. So I'm going to sew them together. Yippee, I know, I'm so excited about the weekend. All right, so this sounds so wonderful. I'm in Florida and Hubs has a broken ankle, so I'm sorry. I hope he feels better soon. Well, I really want to figure out how to do more live things, so this is definitely on my radar, and I am actively thinking about it and working on how to make it happen. All right, so I am going to what am I going to do here? I've got all the pieces for this guy sort of partway done. So we're probably gonna assemble this one start to finish. And then this one will do the head, the eyes, the ears, and the markings, but we won't assemble this one because I don't know if you need to see that twice. So I'm just going to keep going forward on this pink one, and then we'll do all the features and the ears on this at the same time that we finish the other lighter pink one. All right. So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to start down here so that we're going to leave this the kind of egg-shaped bottom. The wider egg-shaped bottom is his lower half. So I'm going to leave a hole large enough to turn down here. So it looks like, what have I got? Something like it'll probably be like 3/4 of an inch or an inch across the hole at the bottom. Let's give me an inch. And my knot is on the outside on this because we'll be turning it. And just keep on with our whip stitch here. So I have quite a few students who like the buttonhole stitch, or they use the buttonhole stitch exclusively because it helps them to separate their stitches more evenly. There's something about the tail, what's the best way of saying that? The connector piece, you know, when you go through this loop and it connects you to the next stitch, that helps them feel like their stitches are more regular looking. And it definitely can help with that. But I prefer to use that as an outside stitch, not as an inside stitch, if you can get away with it, because when you turn it, it's not as strong as the whip stitch when it's turned, oddly. Something about it, just you can see the stitches more once it's turned. But on the outside, it looks really nice. I typically reserve it for decorative stuff, but it looks really nice on the outsides of arms and legs and things like that. Somebody's mowing outside. I hope that's not too distracting. I've got my windows open because it's a really nice, dry, breezy day. All right, I'm gonna put, so these two pieces, because the dart on the front and the dart on the back are different sizes, the front is ends up being a little bit narrower than the back. So even though the diameter of the two pieces is the same, it will look like they're different sizes. See how you can see like these two don't match up over here? So that's okay. Don't worry about that. You're just gonna do your stitches right up to this, the top dart, and then you can shift this edge to match over here. I don't know why I'm thinking about this. I guess because I'm always thinking that, boy, my nails look terrible. I tried to paint them nicely for you guys, but then I did some things and, you know, whatever, that happens. But everybody else in the world seems to have beautifully decorated nails these days. And I don't do that because my nails are really soft and I'm so afraid of them getting hurt somehow or damaged or because they're so wimpy. If you have nails, I'm curious if anybody has, like, the way that I am always teaching people to stitch is sort of assuming that you have no nails that extend beyond your fingers. And I'm kind of curious, like, how other people are holding holding their fabric to cut. I mean, maybe you have to hold it this way to avoid your nails. I don't know. Anyway, I should probably put some fake nails on at some point to figure out how to teach that better. Because I just always assume everybody has stubs like I do. Okie dokie. We are coming around the top here, and I've got that second edge matching up. And I'm just going to go down to about here. And I don't think I said this before, but I've said it probably 100 times in other videos. But every time I come down and my little loop is coming down, I pinch like that, and that helps that loop not to tilt backwards or forwards. And it keeps those stitches looking more consistent. Ooh, that's poking me. Okay, so I have very long nails and have to definitely work around them. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try. I know, I look around and everybody's like, ugh, my hands just always look so worked. Anyway, whatever. It's just the way it is. But yeah, long nails. I mean, I was thinking maybe you hold it to the side like that, and you have to kind of move your hand like this, and then how do you pinch it? Like that. Oh boy, I just broke my thread. That's all right. This is a great opportunity. I'm going to show you how to fix it when that happens. So just get a new one started. And so if your thread breaks, all you really need to do, and this works on either side, is I just go back usually like 3 stitches. If I'm on the inside, I'll sometimes go back more to make it stronger. If I'm on the outside, I might only go back like 3, just so that it's less visible. But then I just follow the holes of my previous stitches and go over. So, you know, for 3 stitches or something, you'll have what looks like the thickness of 2 threads. And then you'll go back. And that, in my experience, has always pretty much done the trick. So I was talking to a friend of mine. I did the little workshop at the Fiber Frolic in Maine, and a friend of mine came with me, and I stayed at her house, and she helped me out for the day. And we were talking about just the different way that we approach things. And she's a goal-oriented person, and I'm a process-oriented person. And so she's always sort of working towards the final goal of whatever she's making, and I sort of really enjoy every little part of the process. And when I'm done with the project, it's like I don't really care about getting to the end, and so I could just practice stitching all day until I got my stitches exactly where I wanted them without actually finishing anything, because I like the process. And she and she's sort of somewhat never satisfied, because she's always reaching for this goal thing. And anyway, it was just an interesting way of approaching things. And I mean, and I think about that a lot. I think it's because, you know, the thing that I enjoy about sewing so much is the process and the sort of quiet repetitiveness of things. And And I'm just always curious about how people think about process versus goal. Carla, okay, if you're headed out, that's great. You could definitely watch it later. This should record it. I mean, it's recording now, and it should go live. I don't know how long it'll take to load after the fact. It might take a couple hours, I would think, because it's sort of, we're hanging on here for a while. All right. So there's our body, and we're going to do the turning business. And I've just kind of poked it into my needle nose pliers here. Push out the sides. Can use the blunt end of the skewer too. Good thing to push things out without breaking through. All right. So let's stuff the body here. Get my little stuffing. So this, kind of like the head, there's also a little bit of squishing around that you do to get its final shape. Just so I often will try to sort of hold the side near the hole where I'm stuffing, and it sort of supports it so it doesn't collapse while I'm getting the stuffing in. If that's helpful to anyone, I don't know. When it's pretty empty, it's helpful to have a little bit of extra support. Definitely a process for me, yeah. Okay. So ultimately, this body is going to have kind of like a bean shape to it. If we look at this, kind of, it sort of, once it's stuffed, we kind of do this action to it, which is sort of funny, but it gives it sort of this little, it dimples in where our dart has that kind of indent, and sort of accentuates the shape of the shape that we've created with the darts. If anybody wants to do, I think, did I say this earlier? I might have. If anybody wants to use the 100% wool felt for this, you can find supplies at either Benzie Design. I think they also have them, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe at Sue Spargo also has them. And I don't know what's going on with Pearl Soho lately. They, I believe, closed their store in New York, and they're only online now, and maybe have a physical presence in California at their second location there. I'm not really sure, but they used to carry the 100% wool felt as well. So you could get it there if anybody wants to try that. I'd like to start carrying it, but it's like a whole nother line of something to carry, and I have to make a pretty big commitment to carry a collection of the colors. So I haven't made the leap yet. But it is fun to play with, and they have a different palette of colors that are pretty wonderful. So check out Sue Spargo, check out Benzie Design. I'm not sure what it's called, what the Sue Spargo collection is called, but at Benzie, the felt that I'm using right now is called Bellwether. Thanks for the info on the, oh, good, yeah. Been wanting to try out your wool products. Yeah, I really like the wool blend. The felt, it's really soft in your hand. It's a slightly thinner, which is kind of good for the clothing, for the animals in this scale. But for their bodies, the 100% wool works great. And it looks a little bit different. It doesn't, again, because it's 100% wool, it's a little, it tends to be a little bit more durable. It's a bit more expensive, but for people who want to use, the 100%, it is fun to play around with. And another thing, I don't know if I posted anything about this yet, but at Sue Spargo, I don't know if any of you guys do rug hooking, but if you've used, hold on, I'm going to put it on camera just a sec. One of our members visited me a couple weeks ago and brought over this awesome collection. She's a rug hooker. Hold on, I'm going to get this in front of the camera. Over all of these over-dyed, woven, boiled wool felts. And I tried using them for clothing. Hold on, I'm going to show you one other thing. I think I posted this on Instagram, but I don't know if I did it on our thing. Oh, maybe I did because of the balloons. I think I did, but I don't know if I said anything about it. This is my little balloon setup from our other post. But I die cut these, but you don't have to. You just have to cut them really nicely. But this is using woven felt for the clothes, and I was able to do jeans. So this is recycled from an old pair of my jeans. And what I did to finish the edges, that's some great looking wool. I know it is. It's so pretty. So anyway, but Sue Spargo does all of this beautiful over-dyed wool, and it's just so gorgeous. I'm not sure where these ones came from. I can find that out. I think it's somebody in Maine that does it. But anyway, so she gave me these, and then I used, what the heck is it called? Fray check. I used Fray check on the edges with a micro tip. So I had the super fine tip, that I use on that permanent glue. What the heck is it called? Hold on, let me get that too. Acrylic. Oh, there it is. That gel glue. So I used one of these micro tips. Let me get a fresh one. I used one of these micro tips with the fray check, and that leaves a really clean, clear edge, and it just keeps the edge from fraying. And then I was able to stitch the woven wool and the jean fabric just like we do the felt. It's so much fun. And so anyway, look how cute. Right? Anyway, I feel like it's like a whole nother like level of depth for the outfits for these guys, being able to use different fabrics. But give that a try. And I was thinking about starting to die cut some of the outfits and some of this stuff and put them up on Etsy, but I haven't done that yet. Weeks Dye Works sale. Oh, cool. Okay. All right. So if everybody should see that Weeks Dye Works. Sounds like they do that wool as well. All right. Let me keep stuffing here and move this process along. It's so much fun. I was kind of blown away. My friend Mike, who I don't know if any of you guys have seen his posts. Pete and Mike are a couple, and Pete and I used to work at Martha Stewart, and Mike does all of this. He had worked for, I think, American Girl for a while and some other doll companies, but he has this, his Instagram is Dawson Diggs Dolls, and he does all this stuff, these amazing shots, these sort of mid-century modern shots with Barbie characters. And he taught me about the fray check because he uses it on, and a lot of other Barbie people use it for making, really detailed Barbie clothes. And so that was super fun to learn about how he's using that. I hadn't really even thought about using it for our fabric, but he kind of opened my eyes to that. All right, so here we're probably pretty good for our stuffing. I'll have to do a post where I kind of go over that process, if anybody's interested. You can also just give it a try and play around with it, but now I want to have like fray check in bulk. All right. That's it. I'm not putting any more stuffing in there. Okay. And okay, if there's any little stragglers. Okay. All right, let's close this up. Let's close this up again like we did the back of the neck with the, yes, please. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. With the, let's try that baseball stitch again, just for fun. The lacing style stitch. Trying to remember where there is an illustration of that somewhere in one of my most recent patterns. I can't remember which one it's in. I use a laser to cut and it kind of seals the edge. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I haven't played with a laser yet. One thing at a time. I'm still in the dark ages using a die cutter. Louise, I will bring some with me to the Cape, and I'll bring the fabric, and I'll show you when we're there next weekend. So sometimes when I start to close the hole like this, I kind of get in here and I'm like, oh, it feels like there's a little air pocket. Maybe I can get a little more stuffing in there. So when it's open a little bit like this at the end, I'll kind of sneak in a little bit more just to fill out that whatever air pockets I have at the bottom. Righto. I think that'll do it. and then I'll just finish up with a couple of whip stitches at the end to secure it and knot off. Oh, I forgot about our pig's nose and doing the little, those little, pushing some little holes in while it was partway dry. Let's see how we're doing over here. Okay, it is looking shinier, that's for sure. All right, so let's see what we've got. Maybe I think okay, so a pin isn't quite the right tool at this stage. Let's try the, oh, that's it. This works. So it's still, it's a little tacky, but I can still get the skewer in there to give it some little holes. And then I'm going to add a tiny bit more. And of course, we're dried up again. All right. I think it's time to put a microchip on that. Oh well, they're too far away. Okay, so now I'm just going to go kind of around the edges and then in the middle and try to, oh, I just closed up one of my holes. That's okay. So one thing about using this stuff is that you don't want to shake it because you'll get bubbles in it. So try not to shake it when you're using it. All right, so I got to pay a little more attention. I was able to avoid, oh, no, there we go. Ah, that's pretty good. Oh, is it going to close up again? Let's see. Yeah, it's just oozing around there and closing up. We'll see how that goes. Okay. I think that's going to work. All right, let's pin him up to dry. Okay, so here's the body, and here's that little bean thing I was telling you about. You've identified which one of the darts was the front one. It's the one that's a little bit longer. And you just kind of do this sort of thing. Do. And you start to get this little kind of fat belly bean shape. Something like that. And then, yeah, okay. You can do it more once the head is attached too, but I like to kind of get it started. All right, so I'm going to just show you where we are on the arms and the legs. So I've got the arms and the legs stitched, and I've left a little hole at the heel on both of these. I'm not going to wire the legs at all. I'm just going to stuff them. And then the arms, I've got my... The arms are like this. This is the top of the arm is like this kind of curved part, and the hand kind of goes down like that. So if you look at it, this is the top of the arm, and this is the hand kind of going down. And this is the underside or the back of the arm. So I wanted to show you a couple things. So on the Panda, so usually, or historically, I've been making these little chipboard templates, and you can totally do that. But then I was like, ooh, I could recycle some plastic from my recycling bin and make this nice clear one that doesn't get dented when I use it. And so let me show you how I did that. So I've got, I printed out the pattern, and then I covered it with 2-inch packing tape. So I have a clear glossy surface. And then I've got on here, you can use double stick tape. I happen to have some double stick film. So you could, there's probably double stick like an Avery product or something that works for this. So I have my double stick on the back. And then here's a piece of, I think this was blueberries or raspberries or something like that. So this is the top lid of one of those things. And then I can just stick this on here. And so now, because of this kind of hard plastic, I've got a folding template for the legs that, that won't dent and I can use over and over again. So then I can just cut out the edge here and I'll have a nice folding template for the arms of the piglet. Okay, there's my folding template. So we need some pipe cleaners. Okay. So on this guy, this is our fold 2 line in the middle. So we're just gonna go crisp, make a crisp fold at the top, fold up, and then trim it at the middle. And I don't remember now, it probably says in the instructions whether I did 1 or 2. I bet I only did 1. Okay, I think each arm just has 1, but I probably wrote it in the instructions. I haven't made enough piglets yet that it's totally in my memory. Okay. And then I'm going to bind that center just so that, you know, if you're bending the arms of your piglet, those little sharp bits don't poke through or bend in a funny way. So I leave a little tail like this, and then I'm gonna wrap back down over the tail and catch the 2 cut ends in the center here. And wrap just nice and tightly, and then you have 2 tails like this, and you can tie off with a square knot going left side over right side, and then right side over left side, and that will give you a nice secure knot. Do one of those. Well, you know what we should probably do is just make sure that I got the size right. Why not? Okay, so this is gonna go down into the little hand. Oh, and the other thing is too, and I think we've done this a bunch of times before, but we want to open up. Oh, let's use these. Okay, we want to open up the top part that will be where the, uh-oh, got to do that again. The top part where we'll stitch on the arm. I'm just going to bind that one more time because I missed a bit. But we want to leave a hole so that we can stitch through to attach the arm. So we'll just bind a little bit more right here. Doesn't look quite as tidy as it did a minute ago, but that's okay. All right, here we go. Here's our little arm piece. Thank you, Sarah. Okay. Here's our little arm piece. I've got to go. Thanks for a wonderful stream, Cynthia. It's been amazing to watch you. I'll catch up. Or I may start it over. Thank you for coming, Sue. Okay, so here we go. Now here's our little piece with its double binding. And then it can go up into the arm. And it looks like I did do it right. That's great. Okay. So, so we'll make one of those for each arm. Where's my thread? Here it is. And then we'll just stuff the legs. Here, I'm gonna do this first and open this up so that I know where I'm wrapping to. Okay. Wrap down. far enough this time and up far enough. And okay. All right, and then that goes in our second arm. Okay, a little bit of stuffing here, and we're moving right along. Oops. What time is it? 2:19. Okay. We are in good shape. So I think I'm going to see, we'll just see how it goes. I'm going to try to get all this, get us wrapped up by 3-ish. If not before, we'll see how this works. Where did my stuffing fork go? Oh, that's okay. We'll use this. Okay, so you don't need much stuffing in the arms, but a little bit is helpful. Oops. And you can always wrangle in those kind of stray fibers with a needle felting needle. Usually I don't use the pokey end of the skewer, but it works pretty well for little pieces like this. Okay. Alrighty. Get the other guy stuffed, and then we'll get them all sewn up at once, I think. Okay, here's this one. Sherry, this is the first live I've watched, and I'm enjoying it. I look forward to recording. Thank you so much. Oh, bye, Sherry. I'm so glad you could come, and you can finish watching later when you have time. All right, 2 arms stuffed. Let's jam some in these little legs. All right, I need my stuffing fork. This is, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so I left kind of a tiny little hole here, but you don't need much. And you could probably even, like, if you don't have a stuffing fork, you could probably use like one of those kind of round toothpicks or something, or you could leave a bigger hole than what I've done, and that would give you a little more room for stuffing. You know, I started with making the bear who must not be named, of course, and made him to the scale that seemed right for me. And then that dictated the size that this little guy had to be, which is really quite small. But now that we've made this other style piglet, like this guy, you could really scale it up a little bit if you want to. If anybody's interested in that, I can scale up the pattern. Just remind me, because I'll forget that I just said that. All right. That's probably good. One more. Okay. All right. Well, there are 5 of you left. We got a small crowd now. But I guess I better finish this because other people wanted to watch it after. Okay. Is everybody that's with us right now still from Patreon, or do we have anyone who's found us some other way, like just through YouTube directly, or are you guys all Patreon people? Just so that I know, because if you don't know where to find this pattern, if anybody's here that doesn't know where to find this pattern, it's available to my Patreon subscribers, and it's this little piglet with this little jacket, and there's also a pattern for this little flower that he can carry. Right. Oh, Sheila. Okay, no worries. It'll be on. It'll be recorded, and you can watch the rest later if you have more. If you need it. The instructions also have pretty much everything except the coat. So I don't know if you've made my fox coat from Etsy before, but it's a raglan sleeved coat or jacket, just like that one is, and the construction is basically the same. Okay, love this. So I'm watching. So I'm watching to the end. I'm a Patreon member from the beginning. Yes, I know you are. Thank you, Tina. Well, I'll stay here with you until we finish then. That's awesome. Yay. All right, here we go. We got a couple little heels. I'm gonna do a little whip stitch here. Since our whip stitch is showing on the outside everywhere, I'm not going to bother doing the baseball stitch. I don't know if you can hear her in the background, but Nico's starting to pace because I usually give her snacks around 3 o'clock, and she's 2:27, so she's like, okay. When are you subscribed? Okay, when you are subscribed to your channel, you get a notification in YouTube that you're doing a live video. Yes, that's good. I know. I thought there might be some other, because of the way we ended up doing this straight through YouTube instead of through Patreon. I thought we might have some newcomers, but I can't see how many people are watching it or I can't see who's watching. I can see how many numbers are watching, but not who until they comment. Oh, thank you, Gail. I'm so glad you and your daughter have been having fun with them. And hopefully next time we'll plan another cape thing that is a little more, has a little more time for people to plan. This was last minute because those workshops didn't fill up. Anyway, I'm so glad you could come. Thank you. we should have a lot to share. Maybe I can do some kind of little, we can do some kind of little live thing if I'm organized enough while we're at the Cape. I don't know how my internet is there, but Louise is going to be there, and one of our other Patreon members, Jenny, is going to be there, and I don't know if anybody else is going to be able to join us. I'm in Connecticut. Oh, Gail. Okay, you're in Connecticut. And seeing you pick my fortune next time. Are you gonna, Gail? Are you gonna come to the Cape? I mean, Connecticut's not too far of a haul. That would be great. I haven't heard from anybody else who can stay over yet. I have one bedroom left. And then if anybody wants to come for the day, if they're nearby, let me know, because we could certainly have like 2 more people a day. And then, but I only have two bedrooms, and then Louise has a really cute little teardrop trailer that she's gonna come in, so. Anyway, okay, can't this time. All right, next time. Okay, where are we? Okay, I'm closing up the arms. Here we go. Tuck some of that in. Wait, Gail, you see, now I can't, until I see people's faces, it's, and I can't remember exactly who said what on Patreon yet. I'll get there. But Gail, was it you that used to vacation in Pocasset? I think it was. Because we had, I think you and I are one of the few people that had a real conversation about that. We'll see. Oh, I'm off camera again. Here we go. $2.31. Yeah, Nico's gonna be ready to be fed at 3, so we'll see what we can get done by then. One more thread. We broke our thread again. I'm gonna go back a few stitches and then double up over them. All right. So close. So I don't think we'll get the jacket done, but maybe I can do another little kind of video talking everybody through the assembly on that. squish that together. Okay, arm number 2. Hide my knot. Okay, so we are good shape here. So there's a little bit of kind of sharp stuff around here from that drying. You can nip that off with your scissors, or you could probably hit it with a nail file when it's totally dry. Okay, you do more live. I'm totally enjoying this. Oh, Pat, thank you. That's great. I want to do more live stuff, and I'm trying to figure out ways of doing it. I had done some Zoom before, but I'm kind of liking this. This where people can comment and I'm reading the comments. I feel like it's coming in a way that I can respond to people better than, when people talk over each other. I can see the comments better on the YouTube live. All right, so I like it. I like it. And this one came out shinier than my original. I mean, both are good, but he's got a little more texture there. But okay. Great. So let's attach our head before we do the arms and legs, because I think the arms it's useful to have the head attached because it kind of tells you where you want your arms to go. All right. More thread. I'm gonna do a long piece, extra long piece. I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not, but we'll see. If it all tangles up, you'll know not to do it. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay. All right, so I had on the bears and on this guy, I had kind of indented the connection to the head so it sort of sat onto that curve. Oh, I'm off camera again. Doot doot. So it could kind of indent a little bit and drop onto the neck like that. Here's a nice long pin. Let's just, so this is one of those Merchant and Mills toilette pins that's long. And I love these because they can just hold a head on like that. And if you want, you can pivot the head and have him looking to the side or go straight on. And then afterwards, you can kind of fiddle with the head to get it to go move around a little bit. Okay. We've got our knot. I'm gonna tuck the knot underneath the head here and get started just to the side of my back dart. So this is a blind stitch here, like we usually use for the heads. So I'm going parallel to the neck connection, and I entered in the body, and then I'm passing over to the head and going parallel, and then I'll do the same thing here. Now I'm on the body, and I'm going parallel. And so back and forth, And this is what they call a blind stitch, or sometimes it's called a ladder stitch, because you can see, before you tighten it, you can see like the rungs of a ladder here. So you just want to go 2 or 3 stitches and then pull it taut, and those stitches will kind of go like this inside and be hidden. It is, you are literally doing a running stitch from the wrong side. That is what a blind stitch is. So I'll go another like 3 or 4 stitches and then tighten up. So usually I go around the head twice, but for our purposes today, I'm just gonna do the one time. And then I'll knot off. Hide my knot. And cut flush to the felt. All right. So there's our little nose. And we've got legs, which are gonna go here. And I think I need to switch to a long darner for the legs and the arms, because it's there's a little too much body to get through for my regular length needle. And so on Piglet here, we're gonna get these little legs on, and you don't want them so high that he can't sit without tipping over. But if he does tip over when he sits, you can hit the underside after you're done with an iron to flatten it out. But let's just pin these guys on and see where they are. So this guy, this one with his tail is going to stand better than this guy. He can actually do the tripod thing with the tail, which is kind of fun. And this little piglet here has to lean against things or sit. All right, so it's a good idea to start your attachment underneath a leg so your knot is hidden. And then you want to come out sort of like, if you imagine that the top of that leg is like a little circle here, you sort of want your stitch to be like a 2-hole button in the center of that circle, if that makes any sense. And then getting it to go through and come out in the right place on the other side takes a few passes sometimes. And then you want to go through and try to catch, come out. Again, takes a few passes, come out in the same pathway. So you're passing through the same holes that you passed through on the previous one. So again, like the eyes, I try to go through 3 times. All right. So that's my last one. Then I'll knot off and hide my knot. And then if you get a little hole anywhere where you've hidden your knot, you can just scratch right over it. Okay. All right, so now let's see how he sits. Okay, so he's tipping. Oh no, he's not doing too bad. But if that is a, my iron's not heated up, I don't think. Oh, and my chair is on the cord. Hold on. But if he's not sitting, you can kind of do this with a hot iron on the bottom, and that'll help him have a flatter sit spot. And we can do our little bean thing again. To kind of give him that funny little belly. Doot, doot, doot. There we go. All right, and then arms, and then ears. And this guy, you know, I really didn't do a mouth on this piglet. I didn't feel like he needed one, but if anybody wants to do a mouth, I'd love to see what you do. Okay, arms are going to be right around here somewhere, and the curve is the top of the arm, so his arms go on like that. Like this, no. Like this, yes. Okay. Arm, and then the curvy side up. It's hard not to, ooh, I'm banging the phone and it's I mean to get the hang of this. I just don't have the setup quite the way I planned, so keep bonking the phone. All right. Oh, that happens. You get caught on your... Ah, do I wax my thread? Okay, I am generally too lazy to wax my thread, but when I do, I am very happy that I did. It's really wonderful to use. But I don't, I did it again. There we go. But what I do like to do when I wax my thread is I put it between, I fold a piece of paper. So I wax the thread with the, and I love the Merchant & Mills wax. It's a little bit softer than most of the thread waxing stuff. And then I put the thread, I fold a piece of paper and I put the thread between it and I iron the folded paper and pull the thread through. And it's absolutely glorious. It doesn't tangle. It's super, super smooth. The wax gets totally like impregnated into the thread, and it is so nice to use. I do it on special occasions, and I do it in classes to teach people who are having trouble with their thread tangling. Some people will take the time to do that every time. I'm not that person, but I really do like it when I do it. Okay, so here we go. He's almost ready. We just have ears. So let me show you the ears, and I'm just going to do a sample of one because I've got two made up for us to attach. But I'll show you how these go together. We're just going to use a single thread for this instead of the double thread we were just using. I might have, I wonder if I showed that in my organizing thread video. I wonder if I showed waxing thread. I don't know if I did. Okay, so here's an ear. And the first thing you want to do is fold the dart at the bottom of the ear. So this little guy here is a dart. You're going to fold it in half. And I do a couple of stitches at the cut end, not at the V end. And then I open it up. You can see there's a hole through there. I open it up this way. And I do a stitch this way. And then one more, I go this way and connect the two sides like that. It would kind of make a really nice flower petal too. Anyway, that's not what we're doing right now though. Okay, so that's how you make the little ear. So it's got kind of this little pinch in the back, and it's got like a little cup right here. All right, so I'm just gonna knot that off, and then I glued these on this time. I'm been doing more gluing on of ears lately. I like them sewed on as well, but I know that some people have a bit of trouble sewing them on and being happy with them. So I was trying to come up with some different ideas. Okay. So then we just have to figure out where we want them to go. And I think the ear placement is one of those things that on the Piglet that it can kind of be in a bunch of different places because it just depends on what they're, they move their ears around, and it depends on what kind of personality or mood or whatever you want to give them. I had them placed, let's look at the top of his head. So if you can see here, this is my dart line. And the ears are slightly behind that, maybe like, I don't know, is that like a quarter of an inch or something? Let's measure. Look at that, it is a quarter of an inch. Okay, so about a quarter of an inch behind the dart is where this little dimple should be. If you want to make it just like the one I did before. So a quarter of an inch behind the dimple. Okay, let's get them both on there. Get them both placed. Okay, quarter of an inch. Got a little knot on that one that's showing, but I think it'll hide beneath my glue seam. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a little glue on the back. We're all dried up again. Sometimes sometimes I just give up on the spout here and I do something else. Let me show you, because that gets frustrating. So I just open the whole thing up and do something like that, because this glue is often just too thick to go through the little nozzle thing. So get a little bit of glue on there. And so I've got my first one on, so I'm just gonna kind of orient this one so it looks like it matches pretty well. And then we can bend it forward after we get it glued on and dried. So I'm just gonna throw a pin in here to hold it in place, and then I'll get this one glued on. And that looks pretty good. And throw a pin in there. Sometimes this is another place where I could hit it with the iron. If I didn't have my pins in there, I could hit it. Can we see the tail technique? Yes, you can. Okay, so that's the ears, and those will just dry pinned on like that. But if you want to, you can also let them partially dry and then put the tip of your iron right into the center of the ear, and that'll help dry it faster. But for now, we'll just do the pins. And then to give them different personality, you can hit them with the iron, like to fold them a little bit forward or fold them down or whatever you want the ears to do from here. You can fiddle with that with the iron alone, with a little mist and hairspray, whatever. And okay, so tail. So here's the tail piece, and you want to iron that with a crisp fold. So here's the folded piece. It's definitely, if you're using the 100%, if you're using the 100% wool, it's definitely going to take some steam or a spritz of water on both sides. And you probably want a press cloth if you're using a light pink like this, because you need a high heat and you don't want to burn the surface of it. So that's something to think about. Now, let me get some wire. I think I have that in my, okay, so I have green wire right here. I used white wire, but I just have this handy next to me. I believe this is 30 gauge wire, but I wrote what I used in the directions, so you'll find that. So you can just take your glue and run it through, or run your wire through the glue so that this stays right in that crisp fold that you've got. So right in there. And then again, you can hit this with the iron. So we'll do that. This won't take as long. Here. So I'm just gonna put, this is a little piece of paper will work. Oh, that's the sticky side. Do that. Okay. So this will dry that glue pretty quickly. And then once you've got that in there, this is when you want to trim it. So if you were to try to trim it to a really narrow width, or if you were trying to fold it to a really narrow width, it would be much harder. But by starting with a wider piece, you can get that nice crisp fold, and then you can just take your scissors and trim it down to a really skinny length. And then we can just zip up the side with our thread and a whip stitch. And this is going to get attached like the other tails, where you poke a little hole in the body and you put the wire up into the body and then stitch around the base of the tail. So I'll hide my knot in here. And I've got more length on here than I need. The green wire is not too bad inside the pink. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but if you're worried about seeing through the felt, if you're making a white pig or something like that, you're definitely going to want to use a white wire. I'm using the coated floral wire. It's coated, wrapped in cotton thread. There's also, you can get floral wire wrapped in paper, but the paper doesn't stay on quite as well as the thread wrapped one. So if you have a choice, get the one that's wrapped with thread. So now I cut this a little close. So if you've done what I've done and you've cut it a little close, you can go through one side and then come back and go through the other if you're having a hard time getting your needle to pass the wire, which I am. Maybe it's better up here. Oh, that's a little better. So we'll just go right up to the top here, and then I can kind of nip off these two corners to make it more rounded at the end. Oh, 301, okay, we're almost there. What have we got left? We've got eyeliner. And how many of you, there's 8 of you watching, okay. So we have eyeliner, we have installing the tail, and then a little bit of blush on the cheeks. And we will wrap it up after that. And then I will assemble the jacket in another short video that I'll post later. All righty. Okay. Well, the good news about this narrow view of vision here using the phone is that you can't see all of the crazy mess that's surrounding this tiny little window. I appear to be much more organized than I actually am. All right. Okay, so we don't need all this length. Oh, there go my scissors. Okay, scissors. See, some of that, some of that fabric came off too. That's okay. All right, so I don't think we need all of this. There we go. Okay. So we've got a little bit here. And we could wrap this if, I'm not going to, just for the sake of time right now. I'm just gonna leave it. But usually I'll wrap the base of that so that if I need to move the tail around or pull it out, I'm able to do that without the wire catching. So if you can see on this one, I attached it sort of midway down the dart. So you want to poke a hole just to one side of the dart because you don't want to interfere with your stitching. So, you know, so I'm just going to poke a little hole to one side. I think I had glue on the end of this, so it's, there we go, kind of sticking. And then this little guy, I'll put the seam down there, and then we can stitch it on. Right, okay, and then we're gonna blind stitch again like we did with the head. So I'm gonna tuck my knot inside the hole that I poked so we can hide it. And start at the bottom here. Get my little legs out of the way. And go back and forth catching the tail and the body as I go around. Oops, see there, I caught my knot. Oh, well, that's okay. It's not really too visible where it is. And I am going to go around a second time on this tail because there's not very many stitches holding it in place. And you could actually, if you wanted to glue it in and then stitch around it too, that would also work to give it a little bit of extra hold. Okay. Knot off. Oop. We got going here. There it is. And I'm not even going to bother to, oh, I am going to hide that knot because it's not going to take any time. Okay. All right, and now you can just curl this on something. The skewer is probably a little small. What have we got? What have we got? Maybe one of these. This might be a little big. Oh no, that's not too bad. Then you can just sort of tighten it up and manipulate it a little bit. So there's our tail. And here he is standing. I think this guy is at a little more to eat than my last one. What do you think? Oh no, I guess they're about the same, aren't they? Okay, so let's take these out because I bet our ears are almost dry. And we'll just hit them in here with the iron just for good measure. And then we can kind of fold them down for that look. And all right, so here's the squishy head bit. So so I just kind of be aggressive. Be aggressive. Okay. You just kind of smush the whole head forward and you get like that little piggy snout. That's pretty cute. And then, oh, eyeliner. Where'd that pen go? Here it is, somewhere. Here it is. Okay, here's the 005. This is the pen we looked at earlier, and this is going to be our eyeliner. So, oh, this one's pretty, that one's pretty bent. That's okay. So these fine liner pens can get damaged pretty easily. So I'm going to do the best I can with this one because it's slightly wonky. But so I'm just going to tip it and kind of go right in next to the eye and make a circle around the edge. And you really don't want to use one that's wider than the 005. You want to go with that tiny one. So that will increase the eye a little bit. And it's at, you know, the line is at sort of a different depth, so it has this slightly different level look to it. I don't know how to explain that. All right, and then I give him a little sort of almond-shaped eye with a little tick kind of going forward and one kind of going backwards. And it's just a little thing. It doesn't take much to give him that look. And you can kind of tilt it in different directions, up or down, depending. I try to match it from side to side. All right. So that's the little eye. And then I gave, you can see this one has a little bit of blush under here, and I did a little bit in the ears too, and I did a tiny bit of beige inside the ear to darken the ear, so I'll show you that. So this is the same as what I used for the end of the nose. And this, if anybody's interested, is called Geranium Lake 15D in this Derwent pastel pencil. So just like right under here where we kind of fluffed out the cheek a little, I just do a really light amount of the pastel there. And we can do the same thing over here. Oop, got a little heavy-handed there. That's okay, it kind of blends in. I also did a little bit of something here, maybe, to do something snouty, I don't know. And then I did a little bit on the edges of the ears. And then I had this color, which I don't know if this is the perfect color, but it is Umber 79D in the same kind of pencil. And I just did a little bit kind of to give some depth to the inside of the ear. You could also, you know, draw like I did before and do a paintbrush with this, and it would go on a little bit, you know, softer without bringing up the fiber like I'm doing right now, but that's all right. So there's that. Okay, that's our little guy. All right, so here's the jacket. Let me just show you how these pieces go together. I'm not gonna stitch them, but we're gonna look at this jacket and talk through it. So here is the back panel, like that. And it's a raglan sleeve, which means that the sleeve goes up to the neck. So you're gonna connect one sleeve here, and then you're gonna connect one sleeve here. I'm gonna clear the decks, and we'll look at this. So you'll do a whip stitch on that seam there and that seam there. And then this is the front of the coat. Actually, let me flip this so that we're looking at it. So that's the back. Sleeve, sleeve, front, front, pocket, pocket. So these get attached with a edge to surface whip stitch. And then the collar goes on last. So after these guys are attached here, you're going to fold this, so the sleeve would get folded like that, and you'll do your side seam like we usually do from the inside, pass your needle through the sleeve, and finish the outer edge of the outer under part of the sleeve. And then I folded these back with tweezers. Folded the cuffs back with tweezers. Now, this little bit right here, you'll see on the pattern, there's a dotted line, and so you can use your iron to fold that back. And then when you stitch the collar on here, that will become the, you know, the little collar detail, right? So it's not, red is not the easiest color to see with this. But anyhow, you'll stitch that around the neck hole. This piece is probably a little bit long, so when you get to the right spot there, you just trim off whatever you have extra. I wanted to leave extra so that if people stretched or if it gathered a little, people had a little bit of extra length to do it, so everything matched up. Okay, so that's it. Oh, wait, hold on, we have to do this guy. Let's do the nose. Nose, nose, nose. So that is another pen. You can go with a, oh, that's the brown. Oh, actually the brown might work. Let's do the brown. Let's do the sepia. I don't know if I did sepia or black, but the nose on this one is just right on the end, and it's just kind of like a little circle, and then you can add like maybe a little point to the bottom of it. It's really not a complicated nose. And then I did, inspired by our original Piglet, I did these little lines on here, and this is a really light touch if you want to do these. I think they should be kind of like a hint. I felt like I did them, when I first did these, they were a little darker. Now he's been manhandled for a while, so they're a little bit lighter now, but I like the going really light against the surface. Just a hint of that. And then the ears, do the same thing on both sides. So these guys, you just do 3 little lines. Works better if you're holding it. 3 little lines on each side, very fine. And these are totally optional. But you can do that on the ears. And the ears on him just get glued on right at the base. And I did them kind of tilted so that when I looked at him from on the side, they didn't match up perfectly. You had one kind of going this way and the other one kind of going that way. So then you could see them from however he was positioned. So that is it. And he doesn't have a tail. He just doesn't have one. So I think you guys are amazing. You stuck with this the whole time. It was like 3 hours and 16 minutes. Oh my God. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for staying. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like doing these, we can do some more. Let's just put them all together with his flower too. So you guys have the instructions for the flower. I didn't cover that today, but you have the second pattern for that. And here's the little jacket. And here's the little flower. And I had set him up like he was kind of holding the flower, and it was like a present from behind, but it was kind of hiding in his pocket. So I put it in his pocket and then kind of put it back here. Like that, and put his hands behind his back, kind of like that, and then stood him up on his tail. Yay! Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, well, we will all be in touch. Here, I'll flip this around and say goodbye to you. Hey! We'll be in touch. Tell me what you thought. If you have more to say or ideas about what other things we could do live like this, shoot me some messages on Patreon. And I'm so glad you guys came. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Okay. Bye, guys. Thanks so much. I don't know how to end this, but let's see what I can do.